Hello, welcome back. I'm Lori Williams. I am a psychic medium, energy healer, animal communicator, and spiritual teacher. And today I want to talk to you about the power that your thoughts and your words have. So, our thoughts have the ability to literally shape our entire experience in this lifetime. If our thoughts are negative about ourselves, we're not going to be able to show up in the world as the powerful people, the powerful creators that we are. If our thoughts are negative about other people, then we show up as judgmental or even maybe like not wanting to foster relationships because we have like horrible beliefs of people. Our thoughts actually shape our beliefs. Our beliefs are just something that you're told over and over and over again until you believe it. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, that person that's telling you the thing over and over and over again is yourself. So if you continue to tell yourself that you aren't a good person, or that you're ugly, or that you're stupid, or that you're lazy or incapable in any way, shape, or form, the truth of it is eventually you're going to believe that to be your truth. And there's actually nothing further than the truth from that. So, what it comes down to, though, is your thoughts are typically ruled by your ego mind. Your ego mind doesn't want things to change. It doesn't want you to change. It doesn't want you to, you know, realize, I guess, essentially how powerful you actually are. It's very limited. Kind of how our soul is unlimited versus our human body is limited. We have, we get sickness, illness, disease, all that kind of stuff. So our physical body is more limited. Our physical mind is much more limited than our soul aspect is too, or our higher self being. So ultimately, when you are looking at your thoughts, you want your thoughts to be as positive as possible. Now, that does not mean that you have to fake positivity. I'm actually like, I am, do not ever think that that's okay to fake positivity. That whole fake it till you make it thing is BS as far as I'm concerned. One, if you aren't in a place where your thoughts are predominantly positive, there's things that you can do. It's mindset work. And essentially, what you want to do is you want to pay attention to the thoughts that you're having. You want to bring awareness to your thoughts because these thoughts, they just kind of like, it's almost like going into a store with a 2-year old and letting that toddler run loose. They're going to go all over the place. They're going to grab everything off the shelves. They're going to be crying and screaming and laughing and doing all the things. And that's essentially what happens when we just let our thoughts do whatever they want. They're just pretty much hijacking the entire system. So, awareness is always key for any change that you want to make. You have to have awareness of the way things currently are in order to be able to make the changes that you need to make. If you just go into this of like, oh, I'm going to be a more positive person, how do you even start? How do you even get there? Because you're not aware of what it is that needs to be changed. So, first and foremost, what I always tell my clients when we're working on mindset is to take 2, 3, 4 days, set some time aside, and just be more consciously aware of the thoughts that you're having without judgment. You don't want to judge them at all. Even if it's a horrible thought, just let it come through. You don't have any attachment to it whatsoever. It's just there. It means nothing. You don't want to change it at this time. You're not going to try to release it at this time. You're just letting it happen. You're letting it flow. It's building awareness to what needs changed. Obviously, taking notes at this point is definitely a good thing as well. So then once you got through those couple of days where you're analyzing your thoughts or you're being aware of your thoughts, you want to start to recognize when they're coming in, and you're going to start to analyze them. Just not over analyze them. Like, you don't want to make this like a whole big thing, because it is actually quite simple. In theory, it's quite simple, but obviously anything new isn't going to feel easy by any means. Simple and easy don't necessarily mean the same thing, though. So once you realize, like, say for an example, if you have a thought that comes in of, oh my god, you're so stupid. And that was when I was working on mindset. That was one that I thought, initially I thought, oh, it just happens once in a while. But once I started becoming more aware of my thoughts, I realized it was actually happening multiple times a day. So the first thing that you want to ask yourself is, if there is a reason that you have this thought, like, is there a trauma that's attached to this thought? In my case, there wasn't, but in some people's case there is. So that trauma could look like feeling as though Like maybe you were made to feel stupid in school. Maybe you were not heard or your opinions not valued. So you took that, you internalized that as that you're not very smart because people didn't value your opinions or your thoughts. Um, with me, it was actually something that I put on myself due to my I used to call it a need, but it wasn't a need, obviously. Um, but it was my perfectionism that expected me to do everything perfect. And if I didn't, then I was stupid. It was either I was perfect or I was stupid. There was no in between. Which I mean, if you stop and think about that, like why, like how much our thoughts are they're very black and white. There's no room for gray area at all. So essentially, once you recognize and you know that these thoughts are coming up, once the thoughts start coming up, if you have it, if it is linked to a past trauma, you want to heal that trauma first and foremost. If you heal the thought without healing the trauma, the thoughts are going to keep coming back. I'm a firm believer in getting to the root of the issue and not just like putting a band-aid solution on it. So definitely go back and heal that thought or that trauma that has caused you to feel as though you were, whatever that has caused this thought that you have. Now, if it's there's no trauma there, or even after you have healed the trauma, the next step is to start to change it. So, like I said, a belief is just something that you're told over and over and over again. So, if you believe yourself to be stupid, you can also believe yourself to not be stupid. Just literally by when that word, I'm just using this as an example again, but if it was to say, "Oh my God, Laura, you're so stupid," I'd be like, okay, how can I change this? It'd be like, and you don't want to go from something like from trying to make yourself believe that you're stupid to you that you're a genius, like because that might be a little too far fetched for your mind to be able to grasp, right? So ultimately, what you want to do is you just want to change it from "Oh my God, you're so stupid" to something that feels better, and it's like I'm not stupid, I'm learning. So, and that's what I did. It's like I'm not stupid, I'm learning. I started changing the paradigm of every time I did something that was less than perfect, I was learning. I wasn't stupid. And eventually, it does take some time and it takes some consistency, but eventually, even now, when something comes up, I'll be like, oh, well, I just learned something new. I don't look at it anymore that, oh my God, you're so stupid. I honestly don't remember even the last time I said that. It's probably been years. So ultimately, once you're able to recognize and have the awareness of the thought, you're also able to change it into something that feels better for you. And this is essentially how you become more positive. And that's why I don't encourage false positivity, because there is actually inner work to be done here in order to encourage real, honest, like true positivity. And once you are in that place, it becomes very easy to see when those any kind of negative thoughts come up. And it doesn't mean, like, once you become more positive mindset person, it does not mean that you never ever have any negative thoughts again. You definitely do. And one thing that I have realized is that my ego always likes to have the first word. So I'll let my ego have the first word. And it's the second one that matters. And through the years, I've been doing this work for 9.5 years now. And through the 9.5 years of doing this work, I have realized that my ego will say something, but then my higher self is the second voice that comes in, and usually like completely trumps that first thought. So it'd be like, um, it's almost like that, the proverbial angel and devil on your shoulder kind of thing. It's like this, almost like this, not even an argument. It's like my higher self always wins out. And, that's not necessarily the point isn't necessarily to have no negative thoughts. I mean, we have a brain. It's going to, to an extent, it's going to do what it wants to do, but it's in how we deal with them and what our belief system is around them. So even if I were to have a thought of, "Oh my God, Laura, you're so stupid," I know there's going to be that other part of me like, "No, you're not. You're just learning." And like, what the hell do you does that first thought? No, right? Like it has no power over you at all. The second part of this is your words. Now, your words are a direct reflection of your thoughts. Always. Whatever is going on inside is going to be displayed outside. So for the case, using this as an example of judgment, typically people that are very judgmental of other people are also very judgmental, probably even more judgmental of themselves. On some level, they feel that they don't measure up. So, in order for them to take some of that pressure off themselves of their own self judgment, they start to judge other people. So, you can see why it's so important to be able to change or to have some semblance of control over your thoughts, because whatever is going on up here is going to start coming out your mouth, right? It's going to start being addressed in a way that you interact with people, the way that you basically the way that you just show up in the world, right? So your thought or your words have the power to create anything. Like if you are constantly telling people, "Oh, I'm so sick," guess what? You're going to still be sick. When I healed myself of IBS, gluten intolerance, and lactose intolerance, um, the one very first thing I did was I stopped claiming them as mine. I stopped saying the words like my IBS. It was I'm healing through IBS or I'm experiencing IBS. It was always like it's like my life is here and this is just a little blip in time of my life. I'm just experiencing or I'm growing through it. I'm healing through it. That's the kind of words that I use now as I'm healing. I do not take on any ownership whatsoever because what you speak is coming into existence. And basically it's like the universe is saying, "Hey, you want to own IBS? By all means, here you go. It's yours." So the first thing is definitely to take ownership off of it, off of anything that you don't want, because ultimately it comes down to the fact your words have the power to speak things into existence. So make sure that the thoughts are positive and that the words are in alignment with what you actually want, not what you don't want. I have so many clients who have come to me and be like, "Oh, I can't pay you, but," and I was like, "You're never going to be able to pay me then because you just keep telling you're telling the same story to people over and over again about how you're broke, and you're going to continue to show up and being broke." And it's like, you know what, even to say I cannot afford this right now is better than saying I can't pay you. Once you say I can't, you're right, you can't, and you never will, unless you start changing the mindset and changing the words that follow with it. Whatever you're speaking into existence, and words like can't, won't, don't, all that kind of stuff, the universe does not see those. The universe doesn't understand words like that, but our energy does. So if you were to say something, and you can just, I mean, you can make up any phrase, but just for an example, I'm gonna say I can't afford it right now, or I'm unable to afford your services right now, versus I can't pay you. Just stop and think about like each of those sentences is so like the I can't pay you is so definite and so I mean it just makes me feel heavy. It's the same as I'm healing through you fill in the blank with whatever illness you have versus I have. Feel the energy of those words. When you say things like, "Oh, I can't," or "I won't," you're absolutely right. And you're literally putting a complete stop, because the words like can't and won't, if you put them in any sentence at all, it instantly drops your vibration. So if you're trying to like manifest something or experience change and experience, you need to have your vibes as high as possible. Using negative connotations like can't, won't, shouldn't, haven't, all that kind of stuff is not something that you want to do. You want to keep it as positive as possible. Keep focused on the things that you want and keep speaking those things that you want into existence, not the things that you don't want. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you back here next time. Until then, take care. Bye for now.